Welcome, history lovers. Today we explore a ruthless battlefield where great knights faced destruction. Picture the greatest army on Earth. Shining silver armor, heavy war horses, and absolute royal pride. Now contrast that with a tragic, muddy ditch, defended by simple weavers holding nothing but wooden clubs. In theory, armored knights should crush those peasants in minutes. But history loves a dark and cruel twist. Let us uncover the three fatal mistakes dragging the pride of France into a tragic, muddy resting place. The year is 1302. The French Empire commands the most glorious heavy cavalry on the continent. Many noblemen sit on massive armored war horses, draped in rich blue silk and gleaming silver plates. They ride to the muddy town of Courtrai, deep within the fierce, rebellious northern territory of Flanders. The King of France wants to end a fierce uprising, led by common craftsmen and angry merchant guilds. Commander Robert of Artois leads the royal army, totally consumed by his absolute arrogance. He gazes across the marshy landscape with deep contempt, expecting a fast and glorious total victory. In medieval warfare, heavily armored mounted knights are the ultimate, unstoppable superweapon. A heavy cavalry charge easily shatters formations of poorly equipped foot soldiers in mere seconds. The French nobles view this campaign not as a real war, but as a simple hunting trip for honor and glory. They polish their golden spurs, laughing at the thought of fighting simple weavers and blacksmiths in the mud. Across the field, the Flemish militia stands perfectly still in the freezing mist, with cold resolve. They lack costly armor and horses, but their hearts burn with a fierce, unbreakable desire for freedom. Robert raises his baton, confident his gleaming wall of steel will easily wash away the rebel forces. Behind that shiny facade of overwhelming military power, a deadly chain of terrible choices begins. The first fatal mistake of the French command is the unforgivable underestimation of the enemy. The Flemish are not a chaotic mob of peasants, but a highly disciplined civic infantry unit. They lock shields, forming a tight, impenetrable phalanx, bristling with heavy wooden spikes. Their primary weapon is the Goedendag, a thick wooden club topped with a terrifying steel spearhead. It is heavily designed to smash expensive chainmail and pierce the narrow gaps in knightly armor. Facing this solid wall of angry men, the French crossbowmen prepare to soften the rebel lines with bolts. A heavy volley would easily break the dense Flemish formation without risking a single cavalryman. But the arrogant French knights are furious. They demand the right to strike first and claim all the glory. Yielding to their selfish pride, Commander Robert dismisses his ranged units, silencing them completely. He chooses to unleash his heavy cavalry, totally ignoring the basic rules of combined arms warfare. This blind thirst for prestige sets the stage for the second, and arguably most devastating blunder. Mistake number 2 is a total, catastrophic failure to scout and understand the dangerous terrain. The Flemish militia did not choose this location by random chance. It is a carefully calculated trap. Beneath the tall grass and green moss lies a complex network of deep, waterlogged irrigation ditches. The groaning stream loops around the rebel position, turning the plain into a treacherous, sticky clay swamp. Worse yet, the Flemish rebels dug camouflaged pits, turning the earth into a dangerous, fractured nightmare. Heavy objects moving quickly on this fragile surface are guaranteed to sink deep into the gripping, cold mud. Blinded by their shiny helmets and absolute fury, the knights see only a flat, open field of easy targets. They totally ignore the warning signs of soft earth, assuming their powerful war horses can trample anything. The advance begins. French foot soldiers march forward, struggling as their leather boots sink into the wet clay. Despite the tough terrain, the infantry bravely engages the Flemish phalanx, pushing the rebels back slowly. The clash of iron against wood echoes across the valley as the front line becomes a truly chaotic struggle. For a brief moment, it seems the great French military will secure a difficult but truly certain victory. However, back at the command tent, a dark wave of jealousy begins to sweep deeply through all the noble ranks. The elite knights watch their own peasant infantry gaining ground and pushing the Flemish rebels steadily backward. Instead of cheering for their comrades, the knights are horrified that the commoners might just win the battle. If the infantry secures victory, the wealthy nobles will lose their chance to capture prisoners for rich ransom. Importantly, they will lose the immortal glory defining their privileged existence and social standing. The murmurs of discontent quickly turn to angry shouts. The knights demand that Robert order a massive charge. They cannot let mere foot soldiers steal the honor of defeating the rebel army on this historic day. This toxic mixture of massive greed and obsessive vanity brings us to the third and most tragic mistake. Let's pause. Have you ever seen an army sacrifice its own soldiers simply to satisfy a massive ego? Share your thoughts in the comments as we witness one of the most shameful moments in medieval warfare. Mistake number 3 is the activation of madness. Commander Robert finally loses his tactical mind. He draws his magnificent broadsword and orders the quick recall of his successful infantry front line. But the battlefield is entirely too loud and chaotic. The foot soldiers cannot hear retreat signals. Seeing the infantry fight, the enraged knights decide they cannot wait another second to claim their prize. Robert screams to charge. Thousands of heavy war horses leap forward, shaking the very earth deeply beneath them. The heavy cavalry accelerates into a terrifying gallop, creating a truly deafening thunder. They are not charging an open enemy line. They are charging directly into their own fighting men. The infantry suddenly hears the terrifying roar of their own cavalry bearing down like a massive storm. Panic explodes among foot soldiers as they realize the tragic truth. Their own lords are going to crush them. In a frenzy of absolute terror, the infantry breaks formation, dropping shields and running away. There is nowhere to hide. The heavy war horses crash into the fleeing men, trampling them deeply into the dirt. The glorious knights ride over the fallen bodies of their own loyal soldiers in a mad rush for glory. Screams of betrayal echo across the muddy plains as the army effectively destroys its own front line. The Flemish rebels stand in shock, watching their enemies destroy each other in a display of total madness. The momentum of the cavalry charge carries them through the tragic mess of their own ruined infantry. Now the knights face the Flemish phalanx, but their strict formation is totally broken by friendly fire. The horses are exhausted from sprinting through the crowd and the incredibly sticky, waterlogged clay. This is the very moment the hidden terrain trap springs shut, with devastating and inescapable force. As the front line reaches the deceptive green grass, the ground simply vanishes beneath their heavy hooves. The hidden ditches collapse, plunging hundreds of war horses headfirst into deep, freezing mud trenches. The weight of armored knights and massive steeds turns muddy ravines into an inescapable death pit. The halt causes a catastrophic pileup. The galloping knights crash directly into the fallen horses. A mountain of twisted steel, terrified animals, and trapped noblemen forms quickly in just mere seconds. The brilliant charge is transformed into an absolute nightmare of chaotic and desperate survival. Knights wearing heavy steel armor find themselves pinned down by the thrashing bodies of their dying horses. The viscous clay sucks them deeper into darkness, filling their expensive helmets with freezing water. The legendary cavalry is entirely paralyzed, unable to mount any kind of proper defense. Seeing the enemy trapped, the Flemish militia advances with terrifying and methodical precision. They feel no pity for the screaming lords who taxed, starved, and intended to wipe out their families. In a moment of retribution, the commoners step to the edge of the ditch, gripping their heavy clubs. The Goedendag proves its worth. The rebels swing spiked weapons onto the trapped, completely helpless noblemen. The wooden shafts easily crush the beautifully crafted helmets, bringing a fast and deeply tragic end. If blunt force does not end them, the spike is driven into the narrow eye slits of their ruined visors. The muddy water turns dark crimson as the massive pride of the French aristocracy is totally vanquished. Robert of Artois, his coat dark with mud and crimson, desperately tries to fight his way safely out. He swings his broadsword wildly, screaming for his men to rally, but his voice is drowned out by the screams. Flemish weavers surround the general, their eyes showing no respect at all for his great royal bloodline. They strike him down in the mud without hesitation, ending the life of the proud general permanently. The tragic fall continues for hours until the ditch is heavily filled with the lifeless bodies of the elite. Historical records state the rebels ordered their men not to take wealthy prisoners for any ransom. This was a war of deep annihilation. The commoners sent a terrifying message to the high elite. As the tragic battle concludes, the field falls deeply silent, broken only by boots squishing in the mud. The militia begins looting the fallen, safely stripping the highly valuable armor completely away. They target the golden spurs worn by the knights, the true, absolute symbol of privileged noble power. 500 pairs of shining golden spurs are collected from the ditch and hung proudly in the local church. This stunning victory sends a massive shockwave across Europe, changing the basic rules of fierce engagement. It proves an army of disciplined commoners can absolutely destroy the most elite cavalry on earth. The kingdom mourns the devastating loss of a noble generation, fully swallowed by the massive swamp. The arrogant French cavalry was entirely destroyed by simple men wielding heavy wooden clubs today. This highly tragic battle teaches a truly harsh lesson about the absolute danger of deep royal pride. No amount of shiny steel or expensive horses can save a general who completely ignores the ground. The tragic mud of Courtrai forever buried the great myth of the perfectly invincible noble knight. Decades later, the shining golden spurs remain a cruel warning to anyone blinded by pure vanity. You can build the most terrifying army on earth, but highly foolish decisions will destroy everything. Robert of Artois let his blind thirst for glory deeply ruin thousands of his own loyal foot soldiers. His completely disorganized charge into the muddy ditch is the absolute pinnacle of madness. The Flemish weavers fought with perfect discipline, using the wet earth to totally defeat the enemy. They showed absolutely no mercy to the crying lords who begged from the deeply freezing, murky water. This incredible victory secured the freedom of Flanders and changed how medieval wars were fought. The terrifying image of a trapped knight struggling in the thick clay still haunts historians today. Every single heavy strike of the spiked wooden club was the brutal revenge of the oppressed people. The arrogant French commanders learned the hardest lesson possible, paid for with their own tragic lives. The deceptive mud of Courtrai dragged the proudest French knights straight down into a real boiling hell. But wait to see what happens in our very next epic battle, when the frozen northern lake cracks. It aggressively swallows armored crusader knights into a freezing cold, terrifying black abyss. The Battle of the Golden Spurs proves strict discipline and tricky terrain can break the strongest armor. Was the French commander completely foolish? Or did royal greed blind him entirely? Leave a comment. If you liked this dark historical journey, please like, share, and subscribe for more epic stories.